Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna, my pranam to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Ishan.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So good to have you, Jay. Very well. Right. So let's do Mangalacharan and then we shall resume to our overview of Srimad Bhagavad-Gītā. Om. Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnanajanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Papitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yudapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhuetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishvanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev Maharaj ki jai, Samaved Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Jai Jai Shri Radesha. Hare Krishna, everyone. So good to have you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Chaitanya. Krishna Chaitanya, we really missed you. I hope you are doing well.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So good to hear from you. We've been missing you. I know you were traveling for a while. I'm glad to see you are back. And you were able to make the sessions as well. I know you were busy on another sessions. Great. And Hare Krishna Adi. Adi is also there with us. Great. So Hari Bol. Adi is there with his camera switched on, which is great. Right. So last week, we shared a lot of stories, I guess, and we did the discussion on souls. Because the very first thing, so right, we are doing Srimad Bhagavad-Gītā. There are 18 chapters divided into 3 different sections. And rather than me saying, if I can show, right. So there are 3 different sections. First 6 for the karma, the actions. Middle 6 for the bhakti, the devotion, the main thing, which is the essence of Bhagavad-Gītā. And right in this, so chapter 18, half of it, chapter 9. So chapter 9 is most confidential knowledge. So the most important bit is right in the middle of Srimad Bhagavad-Gītā. And the middle section is on Bhakti Yoga, devotional service. At the end, Jnana, knowledge. So we know how to do the karma, the actions, we know how to do the devotional services. Based on that, the Jnana, the knowledge we will get, that's transcendental knowledge. And everything we will do in day in, day out, all the tasks in the day could be spiritualized, could be in Krishna consciousness. It could be while we are cooking. It could be, today we were listening the Damodar Ashtakam, which we usually do in the Damodar month, in Kartik month. But Krishna's mother, when she was making food for Krishna, she was thinking about the pastimes of Krishna. And what is that? That's devotion. That's devotion. That's Krishna consciousness, right? So not to say that when you are doing your studies, then you need to think about something else, but we will get conscious. And once we will get conscious, then we will be able to get the best out of our own abilities. Because remember, our prescribed duty, being the student, is to do very well in whatever we are studying. And what we are doing now, we are actually studying Bhagavad-Gītā. So there is a hearing, there is a listening, there is reading, and there is a study. So we are studying here. Chapter 1, we have already seen, observing the army. So we'll go very quick. And I'm sure you guys are so great that while I'm flashing this through, and we have already done it. You guys are so great, right? Chapter 1 revision happened in a few seconds, and all of you got all of those verses, I'm pretty sure. Chapter 2 is the summary of the whole Bhagavad-Gītā. So in Bhagavad-Gītā, it's a conversation, as we know. Arjun asks a lot of questions, and Krishna, as the spiritual master, as the Lord, he gives a lot of answers. But then Arjun is not only asking those questions just for himself, he's asking those questions on behalf of others. For example, a number of times we say, so, well, last week we had the discussion that, oh, what about animals? What about trees? Do they have souls? Then we have to think, well, why are we thinking about it? Because when we ask questions, we are not only asking ourselves for ourselves, we are asking about others as well. And of course, this is how we should do, because then we get the wider perspective, right? If this is right, then how that philosophy fits in it. And this is what Arjun doing, right? Arjun asks a lot of questions. Krishna is giving different options available. Remember, this is very important to understand. Most of the religions, they focus on one path. In Sanatan Dharma, universal religion, widely in the West known as Hinduism, Vedic culture, Bhagavad-Gītā gives multiple options, because there are different routes. The destination is the same, but the routes are different. And that's what we are going to focus today. And in chapter 2, very briefly, Krishna gives all those routes to Arjun. And then Arjun asks more questions, and then Krishna said, okay. So let me give you the detailed answers. Then Krishna gets into chapter 4, right? So, all right, we have already seen this. If you have any question on anything what we have discussed in the past, any comments, any realizations you had, feel free to let me know. Feel free to share that, right? It's always good to hear from you. So we carry on. So this is what where we saw 30 divine qualities of the soul. And the most important part there is these qualities, they belong to us, because we are soul. We are soul. We are not this body, we are soul. So all these qualities are, this is us, right? And what could be more important to us than ourselves? All right, okay. Hare Krishna, Mataji, yes, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, number 11 and 12 will not come into being and unborn.
Yes.
It's a bit of a difference between the two, please.
Very nice, Mataji. So yeah, you're right. Very similar, because if you see, this says 20 and this also says 20, and then 21 explains just a bit more detail, an extra feature to this. But yes, what happened? So unborn, as we know, so the verses go na jayate na maryate. So it says the soul does not take birth, and so that's number 12, unborn. So it was not born, right? And will not come into being. It's like for the future, if you think about. So it's not that it was born, And it's not that in the future something will happen to it. In the past, it was not born, and not that in the future something will happen to it, right? Like usually in biology, in the science, we say Darwin, and Darwin was a scientist who said that we developed, like we came from monkeys, we came from apes, and we developed gradually. We developed from them. So this says will not come into being. It's not that we were half baked and then like we were apes and then we became humans. No. So this is a very, very subtle difference between these two. And we were not born, and it's not that we were something and then we were half baked, we were half developed, and in later we fully developed, or in future we will be fully developed. No, we have always been part and parcel of Krishna. And like, as you know, Shri Ishopanishad we are doing over the weekend, and the very first invocation was Om Purnam Mada Purnam. So that says Krishna is complete, and everything which emanates from Krishna, which is us, we are also complete. So that's the reason it says will not come into being. It's not that it has developed into something. Hope that's clear, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Very nice. Right. So, but yes, yeah. At number 30, if you see, amazing. And it's very nice. It says some people look at the soul and think, wow, it's amazing. Some people see amazing. Some people hear about it and think amazing. Some people describe it. So whichever way we look for it, it is indeed very amazing. But the most important part is that this is us. The only thing is we are not conscious about it, right? So when the parents tell to each one of you that you need to do best of your ability, I know you can get 100, and you say, I don't think so. Well, what parents are trying to say, if you will put all your focus, then you can do it. Whether will you do it or not is a different thing, but you can do it. And it's not that well, of course, every child is very special for the parents, but every child, every single child, every human being has that capability. So physically, doesn't really matter how we are, but Stephen Hawking, you might have heard of. Physically, he was crippled. He could not even say something, right? He could not move around. But he's not here anymore. But some of the theories he has developed, they are amazing how he could do it, because he could tap into his pure consciousness. If you read a lot of his books, you can. And Adi got a question. Adi, would you like to ask? Please.
You know what you said about chapter 30, yeah?
Yes.
Amazing look, yeah?
Yes.
How do they know how the soul looks? Because the soul is invisible, right?
Very, very nice. Very nice. Yes. And I will say something to you, and be careful what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, Adi, I see what you mean. Have you heard this phrase? Sometimes when people talk, they say, I see what you mean. And if you will ask, what? How could you see? How could you see what I mean? Right? So for example, you will come home and you say, oh, Mama, today I had the school lunch and it was such a nice pizza or pasta, whatever you like. And you will start describing. There was a cucumber, there was a tomato there was olive oils there. There were a lot of cheese there. Oh, it was so delicious. And mother will say, oh, I see, it was delicious. I see, you really, really enjoyed it, right?
I know you mean like I understand, but how do they know the soil isn't even there?
That's right. Very nice. So in Bhagavad-Gītā it says, and even in Bhagavatam also, Srimad Bhagavatam, it also says that how do we know? We know there is an English word that's called infer. Infer is, for example, we are sitting in it's night time now, but let's say if you are in the morning, we are sitting in our room, window is open, and we can see sunlight coming inside. And somebody will see, well, can you see sun? And you can say, yeah, sun is there outside. I say, how do you know? You have not even moved out from your chair. He will say, because I can see the sunshine. And because I can see the sunshine, I'm pretty sure sun is outside there, right? And in a bit, what will happen? The cloud will come at the front of sun. Sunlight is not visible anymore. And you say, oh, sun is gone.
But I'm
Even
also
the sun is
saying
not
that
gone.
the soul is invisible and it doesn't make light, right? It's
Right,
spirit.
very nice. Very, very nice. So the way sun makes sunlight, soul makes consciousness. So if the body is conscious, we say soul is there. So for example, sunlight is there, we say sun is there. If the body has consciousness, we say the soul is there. If the person is dead, or sometimes what happens, let's say the accident happened, a car was going very fast and hit another car, and the driver, so what happens, the airbag comes out, hit the driver very hard, and the driver sometimes go into what we call, so could go into coma or just go into shock. And for a moment,
What's a coma?
Coma is one of those, it's a mental and physical state. Physically, people can't move. Mentally, they cannot think, or if they can think, we can't really figure out. And there are different levels of coma. But somebody is laying down, the person
In a
is...
car crash, what is the level of coma?
Yes. Oh, in the car. Nice. In the car, well, depend what kind of car crash it is. But let's say in our example, it's a very simple car crash. And so coma could be somebody could go into coma for a week, somebody could go for a few minutes, somebody could go for years. There are many examples. But let's say somebody went into coma for a couple of hours. And we won't call that coma. We just say, oh, the person was unconscious.
I have another question. You know, you said that it can go for years, yeah?
Yes.
Then that person will lose his memory because he'll be in a hospital for 1 year, right?
Yes.
And that
Yes.
cannot be possible.
That's possible. What they do, they physically, medically, they keep the body alive. So because body is actually matter, and for the body to, for example, we need the heart pumping. They have a machine, and that machine will make the heart pumping, keep the heart pumping. And again, as I said, there are different levels of coma. In some of them, the heart will be pumping itself. They might not need anything extra. But the main thing is the consciousness. The person is laying down, person will not say anything. So then that's what we call subconscious. The person is not conscious, person is subconscious. Sometimes we say person can hear us, or person cannot react. So the consciousness is the symptom of the soul. As long as the person is conscious, we say the soul is there. If sometimes, as I say, medically, if person is subconscious, then it's very, very hard, because there's another word called limbo. Limbo is the person is in between. Person has lost the touch of his or her own consciousness. And but let's keep it very simple, that if you have £5 note in your pocket, right? In your pocket, you have £5 note. But you don't know about it, right? That trouser was given to you by your mom. Okay, Adi, wear this. And mom put £10 or £5 note in it, in the pocket. And then you didn't know about it. Then you went there, and then you call your mom and said, Mom, I needed some money. And your mom will say, oh, well, it's in your pocket. And then you will put your hand in your right hand side pocket, and you will say, it's not there. So you have that money, but it's in your left pocket, right? That £5 note is in your left pocket. So you always had that money. Even somebody told you and you tried it, you could not see. But when the person, your mom will say, well, it's in your left hand side pocket, you will put your hand, and then you will say, yes, mom, what you were saying is correct. And then that level, that state is called self-realization. And then you're fully conscious. So you always had money. Similarly, we all have soul inside, but we don't realize it. The Bhagavad-Gītā is that mother who is telling us, right? But we have to work towards. For example, what we're saying, you have to work to take your hand in your pocket. And then also you need to have the knowledge. You might take that out, and that £5 note is actually not £5 note, it's $5 or 5 Indian rupees. But you don't know. You might think this is £5 note because you don't have the knowledge. What's £5 note? What's $5 note? Right? So it's very, very important to know. So the knowledge needs to be there. If you have the knowledge, then you will get the experience. Then that knowledge and experience will combine together, called self-realization. Right? So all that is happening at the same time. We need both. We need to realize ourselves, but again, we need to hear the knowledge, what we're doing now, and we need to think about, we need to discuss from others. So that will keep going. Okay, thank you, Adi. Adi just sent me a direct message, and I'm sure Adi wouldn't mind if I share it with everyone. Adi said, I checked all my pockets, but there is no money. Thank you, Adi. Thank you for being with us. Right, okay. So this is the part where we start now, what we have been discussing, and it's really good. Adi is actually very famous for asking questions. Adi has always been there with us. We should always ask questions. We should always discuss things. And because when we discuss, then we understand, which we never forget, right? So remember, somebody said that somebody wise must have said it. I don't remember the name of the person, but it's a famous quote that if you tell me, I might forget. If you show me, I might remember. If you will engage me or make me do it, then I will remember, right? So for example, if you're there in the class and you're just hearing somebody saying it, you might forget, or chances are you will forget. But if somebody will show you, like a practical, what happens in the schools, in the labs, then because you have seen it, chances are you will remember. But if you will do it yourself from your own hand, most of the time you will remember now, because you have done it yourself, right? So when you ask questions, then that's why you're doing it yourself, right? It's not what we call borrowed knowledge. It's the knowledge you have realized with your own personal examples. Great. So different options available according to Krishna in Bhagavad-Gītā. They are, very first one, Karma Kanda, right? And we say first one. Why do we say first one? We will see. The second one, Karma Yoga. And then the third one, Jnana Yoga. Now, if you go for, this is chapter 3, Bhagavad-Gītā. Jnana Yoga is chapter 4. Ashtanga Yoga is chapter 6. And then you might say, what happened to number 5? 5 is the combination of karma and jnana, right? So chapter 3, chapter 4, combine chapter 3 and 4, that's chapter 5. Ashtanga Yoga is chapter 6. And then 7 to 12 is Bhakti Yoga, right? And then at the end, the last chapters will give the knowledge which will assimilate, which means combine all these together. So if you think about it, it's very simple. The way we can remember Bhagavad-Gītā is very simple. There are 700 verses. There are some key verses. Currently, we are doing the overview. And it's so easy to remember. When you discuss with others, you can tell what it is. Yeah, you can tell Bhagavad-Gītā, 700 verses, 18 chapters divided into 3 different sections. And what do we have in that? There are different marga, different parts, different options available. And based on what you like, you do. Now we need to do bhakti. When we will do karma kanda, we will see karma yoga, we will see jnana yoga, we will see ashtanga yoga. Every chapter at the end will say that bhakti yoga is the best. Krishna is telling you. right? Bhakti. Krishna is telling all of us, Bhakti Yoga is the best. But within Bhakti, now the question will be, what is Bhakti? How to do Bhakti? Bhakti is devotion. What is devotion? How to do devotion? And what are the benefits? Why Krishna is saying this is the best? Well, we will find out. In between first 6 chapters and last 6 chapters, the between 6 chapters, they all are about devotional service, Bhakti Yoga, right? So this way we can easily remember. So more and more discussions we'll do, more stories we will hear, we will remember what it is. Yeah. Okay. Maybe a very good time for a story. So one of the story, I don't know if I shared it last time. Remind me if I did. So there was a balloon seller. You might have seen that some balloons fill of helium gas, right? So there are some normal balloons. They don't go high up, but if it's filled with helium, there are many options these days, but helium gas used to be very traditionally famous. In the balloons, you fill helium gas, you leave the balloon, or the balloon is tied with a thread. You have to hold it. If you leave it, it will go high up. And obviously it will keep going, keep going, keep going. At some point, after a while, helium gas will go away because it starts releasing. Then it will come down. Somewhere it will come down. So maybe if I will leave it here from London, it will reach to Adi. It might take a few days, but it will reach there. What happened? There was a seller, balloon seller. He was selling different balloons. He was selling different balloons. And a little girl comes around and she said, which one shall I go? Because there were different colors. So she said, oh, this green one, green is my favorite. You have green one. Please tell me, does this green balloon goes up, high up? And said, yes, green goes high up. And the girl said, oh, right, okay. Then she looked at the other one. She said, oh, that purple one, does that go high up as well? I said, yeah, that's also go high up. Oh, okay, interesting. Then she said, oh, there is a black one. Does that go high? And the balloon seller said, yeah, that's also the one which goes high. And then she was thinking. And then the balloon seller said, well, look at this, dear. These balloons, irrespective of which color they are, right? They all go high up, reason being what's inside the balloons. So, oh, wow. So thank you. So Adi just checked the distance between his house and my house, I think, and he's saying the distance is 31 minutes. Haribol. Very nice. Thank you, Adi. So the balloon seller is saying that irrespective of which color you decide, the balloon will go high up or it will not go high up. Depends what's inside the balloon. If it's just a normal gas, it might not go. If it's a helium gas, it will go high up. What that story tells us? That story tells us the very first wisdom Bhagavad-Gītā gives, chapter 2. We said Atma-jnana, the knowledge of the soul. Externally, doesn't really matter how handsome we look, how nice we look, how gorgeous we look, whether we are white, black, brown, yellow. Do we have more colors? But Shivani says orange. Doesn't really matter which color we look like, how great we look, what do we wear, doesn't really look like. How high up we go, which means how well we will do in our life, is based on what's inside us, right? What's the content of our personality, our features, right? You would see the same thing. And I will tell you my example. I did aerospace engineering from university. While I was there in university many years back. And one of my friends was Chinese. And his English was very poor. So poor that if he's sitting next to me, the teacher is saying something, he had a digital dictionary and he's checking almost every word. And I thought, he will struggle even passing the exams because he doesn't understand what the teacher is saying. Every single word he would have to check. When the results came, guess what? He was the first in the class. Yes, he was first in the class. Not what he looked like, not how he behaved, but what was inside him. Right? And then there are many more examples. So from these examples, we can understand it's not the external beauty we are looking for. What Krishna is looking for and what really going to work is what's inside us. Right? That's the reason you will see some people who get 100% might not do very well later in life. And some people who just get 60%, they might be more happier than the person who had 100%. And there are many examples like this. Many examples like this. You might be able to see now. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure you will see in real life later. So, right. Okay. So these are the main options available. And let's carry on. If anyone has any questions or comments on any of those, please let me know. Right. Okay. Yeah, not at the moment. Oh. So let's move on. So the very first thing we will say, Karma Kand. Now, what does this really mean? Karma Kand. This is something very famous in India, mainly. Not many people, or maybe people from Indian background, Indian ethnicity, they might still be doing wherever they go. But mainly in India, people used to do a lot, but even now people do what they call them rites and rituals, sacrifices, some worships. But when people do those rites and rituals, regulations, sacrifices, a lot of fasting, whenever people do, some people, they have some agenda, they have some reasoning why they are doing it. They would like to have something, and that's the reason they are doing it. And that's what we call, we say, material sense gratification. What is material? So there are three words: material, sense gratification. Material, as we remember, difference between material and spiritual. One of the main differences: material is temporary, spiritual is which always stays. So most of the thing we see around is material. Soul is spiritual, right? And the sense, anything we would like to get. So whenever we doing a worship, we like to get something. A lot of time we say, oh, parents will be doing worship because they would like to have nice children. And once the children are born, they would like to do more. So the children's health will stay good. And then, or maybe whichever child's education will go nice. Husband might do some worship for the benefit of the wife. Wives actually do a lot for the husbands in Indian culture. Gratification is a fulfill. But all of these things, reason being because we would like to enjoy some senses. So the benefits are all material, not spiritual, material. Those kind of things, those kind of actions, they are called karma kanda. Karma kanda. So any of those things we would like to do, where we like to have the material benefits, they are called karma kanda. So karma kanda are not very, they are beneficial, but devotees are not encouraged to get into it because we would like to move from material to spiritual. We don't want to stay to the material ground. Right? That's the reason we would like to move on. It says results going up. Now, what does this mean? Up. We have 14 planets and we are in the middle. This is planet Earth. If we do nice actions, we will go high. If we do wrong, we will go down, in very simple terms, right? So, and there are many hells also. If we do wrong things, we will have punishments. So regarding karma kand, we can think of this. Good deeds will give us good results. Bad deeds will give us bad results. So that's why we are always supposed to do pious activities, good deeds. And another story on that, right? There was a lady. She had operations, and she was there, and she was about to die, and then she saw God, and she said, "Oh God, Krishna, you are here. Does that mean I'm dead?" God said, "No, no, you still got 20 years to live. I've just realized you still have 20 years to live. So you're going to go back." Like the soul came out of the body, and soul met the God, and God, Krishna, said, "No, no, you go back." Soul went back to the body, and the person was alive. A lot of times, many examples are these. They are called, what is the term? Term is near death experience, NDE, near death experiences. So a lot of people, they have experienced it. Well, when I say lot, compared to how many people we have, but a lot of stories are there, very similar stories, and in different part of the world. And then that makes you, well, that at least makes me wonder that somebody in Russia and somebody in America, they are world apart. The cultures are different, and the places or countries are different, but people at both places, the stories, near death experiences, very similar stories. So it makes us wonder, what's going on? There must be some truth. But what happened to this lady? She got back, and the operation was successful. Doctors had said, "Oh, sorry," to the relatives. A lot of times this also happens. Doctors announce the person is dead, everybody is crying, and right at the last moment, the person comes back, and everybody's surprised. How? And then this lady comes back, and then she was old. She was nearly 65. And she said, "Hang on, God has just said to me that I'm going to live for 20 years. Now I know I'm 65, and my body got wrinkles. I need to take good care of myself because I know 20 years are there." So she went to get a makeover. She got a lot of things done on her body, her eyebrows, her skin. Oh, very nice. She was looking tip top, very beautiful, right? And she spent like a couple of days there to get a real new makeover. And when she came out, it was like she was 20 years younger, because that's what she wanted to do. She could enjoy 20 more years because she knows she has 20 years. And as soon as she stepped out, a truck came and hit her hard, and she was dead. And when she went, she met God. She said, "What? You lied to me. You said I have 20 years, but I'm dead." And God said, "Well, you did such a great makeover, nobody could recognize you." So those people, so God doesn't go himself. So Vishnu Doots, they go. So they could not recognize you. And that's the reason they got you, thinking of someone else. You change your body completely. So what that tells us that a lot of times we spend on our sense gratification, on our body. But we do need to remember, it's good to take care of our body, because body is the vehicle where the soul is inside. Soul is the driver. So if we need to travel, the soul needs the body. So the driver needs the car, needs the vehicle. So need to take care of the body, but not at the expense of the soul. Another analogy is that a lady got a beautiful bird, and she put that bird into a golden cage. And every day she cleans that golden cage. But she doesn't feed the bird. What will happen to the bird after a while? The bird will die. And that's what's going on in the world. Our body is the cage. We look so good for the body, we forget to feed the soul. That's the reason, especially in the Western world, even in Indian or subcontinent these days, people have everything somebody can think of. Like they are famous, they have powers, they have money, they even have the relatives, but they are not content. They might obviously later, once you have a lot of money, then people start fighting with each other. Why? Because they have been looking after the body, the cage. They did not spend on spirituality, on the spiritual ground. So we need to think. So Karma Kand, not for devotees, because there is nothing spiritual in it. The whole idea is material sense gratification. So we should always think of it. We don't want to go to heaven to enjoy. We don't want to go and become Brahma. We want to go out, because remember, all this is all material world. Yes, heaven is a bit better place compared to earth in terms of material senses. But at the end, that's also material. That will, everyone will die there. Everyone. And then they will come back on earth. From heaven, you cannot go to the spiritual world. You have to come back here on planet Earth. Right? Okay. Now, this is the next one. This is very nice. What does that say? That say, Krishna explains how fighting would be beneficial. How fighting would be beneficial. Now, I'm pretty sure all of your parents would say, fighting is not good. But if you think about it, Arjun in the beginning says, I cannot fight. Remember, C, D, E, F, I. Compassion, destruction of family traditions. E, enjoyment. F, fear of sinful reaction. I am indecisive. Now I cannot fight. Now what happened? He spoke to Krishna. Krishna made him fight. So what kind of knowledge that happened? Sorry? Yes, Adi?
What does indecisive mean?
Right. Indecisive means when we have lost the ability to decide something. So for example, your mom will say, well, I'm saying that again. I don't know whether you like pasta or pizza. But let's say your mom will say, Adi, what would you like today? Would you like to eat pizza or pasta? And you say, I cannot decide. And your mom will say, oh, Adi, you are so indecisive, which means you cannot decide between these two options. And this happens a lot in life, right? So maybe later, some of your friends would like to become engineers, some of your friends would like to become doctors, and you will say, I cannot decide. This happens a lot. We need to buy a house, this house or that house. We need to buy car, this car or that car. Oh, we cannot decide. There's so many these things in our life when we need to make the decisions. A lot of time when we drive, shall we go from this route or shall we go that route? We cannot decide, right? Then Bhagavad-Gītā knowledge will come. Bhagavad-Gītā knowledge is not only for the driving, that you can decide whether you need to go left or right, but there are many more important things in our life when we need to decide which option we should go for. Right. So Krishna explains how fighting would be beneficial. Okay. Then, and this is based on Karma Kanda. Then we will go to Karma Yoga. Karma Kanda. And as I was saying, that in your life, when you will see people praying, people doing worship. So I know someone who said she's here in London, and she said, I did a lot of chanting. I said, okay, very nice. And then I said, so why do you do chanting? She said, because I wanted to get promotion in my career. And I was not getting. Somebody said to me, if you chant, you will get it. And I started chanting. And in 2 months' time, I was promoted. I was, wow, amazing. So she is still, well, I guess, so she's still chanting. So now chanting is good, but her consciousness to chant is not that good. Because what she wanted material benefit. What will happen from the promotion? From the promotion, she will get, well, along with a lot of stress and anxiety, of course, she will get more money. What will do she with that money? Is she going to spend that money in the temple for Krishna? Or is she going to read a lot of books of Krishna? Or is she going on more expensive holidays, going to buy, going to, Arun suggesting a few things from here, or she's going to buy more expensive dresses. What are you going to do? So money is not bad. Similarly, body is not bad. What we do with the money, what we do with the body, right? That's the main thing. So fighting is not bad, but what do we fight for is what Krishna is going to explain. Now, I'm not saying that all of you go and start fighting tomorrow morning in the school and say, I'm fighting for Krishna. But we do need to understand what Krishna is saying. What Krishna is saying, Krishna said, by fighting, perform prescribed duties. You might have heard this name, and I will keep repeating this words again and again. So this says, by fighting, perform prescribed duties. Now, because we all are students, right? So all of you are a student, and I'm also a student. We all are a student. Being a student, we have prescribed duties. For the student, prescribed duties to study. All of you are in the school, so you are learning. So that's your prescribed duty. Yeah, you can play Xbox in between, but that's not your prescribed duty. Yeah, if you need to relax, you can go and play cricket, football, but that's not the prescribed duty. The prescribed duty is to study. But who was Arjun? Arjun was a Kshatriya. He was a warrior. And for him, the prescribed duty was to fight. Fight for what? To protect devotees, to protect those who need protection, right? So we have Brahmins who worship, they read, and then they give the knowledge to others. Then we have Kshatriyas. Kshatriya actually starts from K is silent. Kshatriyas, they give protection. So the Kshatriyas are the politicians. They make the rules and regulations of the country, right? And then we have what we call Vaishyas. They are the business people. They do the trading. They also need protection. So who will give the protection? So a lot of laws and regulations will be made for them by the parliament. And then right at the end, we have Shudras. Who are Shudras? Those who work for someone to get money. So if I work in the company and I get money for my work, I'm a Shudra, right? But while I'm discussing Bhagavad-Gītā, that time I'm a Brahmin. And if I'm protecting someone, fighting, then I am a Kshatriya. So it's not that in my life I will be only one person. In a week, I can have all four, right? But Arjun was a warrior. So he was predominantly a Kshatriya. So his duty was to fight, not fight to enjoy the kingdom. He has already said he doesn't want to, and he will not able to because he knows a lot of people are going to die, but to protect others. So remember, if you need to fight, for example, Krishna Chaitanya got Govinda as a little brother. If somebody is going to trouble, then he might have to protect him. Of course, then that's his prescribed duty. Yeah, Adi got a cousin brother called Rohan. So Rohan, I think, is elder than Adi. So it's Rohan's responsibility to protect Adi. So that's our prescribed duty. But because we all are students, our main prescribed duty is to study. But what Arjun or Krishna is saying to Arjun, let's see, if your prescribed duty is to fight, now when you will fight, of course you can win or you can lose. Please, Adi.
What is Krishna's duty except teaching Arjuna?
Very nice. So, okay, I'm going to ask the question here to Arvind and Shivani. Yes, Shivani would like to say something. So Adi is saying, what's Krishna's duty?
Except teaching Arjuna.
Except teaching Arjuna.
His duty is to, as well as Vishnu and Shiva, are like balancing the world.
Mhm.
It's like a bit like if you think of like a merchant's house, like or like the queen's house. She's sitting on a throne,
Mhm.
and there's like secretaries, slaves. But
Uh-huh.
of course, what does she do? She approves the thing. You could also say she approves.
Mhm. Very nice.
One of the things, but Krishna's a very important role.
Thank you. So Shivani says, so if you could not hear, what Shivani is saying, that it's a very important role. That's the last thing she said at the end. Krishna actually is not a role, but well, what she was, the way she was explaining, she said like, if you see Queen's house, Queen is there, sitting there, and everyone is working for her, but she's the one who is approving everything, and she's the one who is managing everything. And that's very close to what we can
So
understand.
the queen, how did she? So like the Krishna, how did he get his spiritual soul of getting Krishna?
Is it okay? Is it for the, so if I understood your question correctly, Adi, so Queen must have done some good karma in the past to become a queen in this
Yeah.
birth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did Krishna get birth? If he's from the spiritual world and he is one of the gods, not demigods.
Yes. Krishna is the only god. Now,
Shiva.
Shiva is actually a demigod. Shiva, when in we have Shiv Puran, and Shivji was doing meditation. So Shivji's wife Parvati ji asked, "Whom are you meditating upon?" And he said, "I'm meditating upon my Lord." And she said, "You also have Lord? I never knew." So then he said, "Yes, I also have a Lord, and I always pray, and I get all my." So he said, "I have responsibilities, and I get all the instructions from my Lord." And then he explained, Krishna is my Lord, and I was meditating on Krishna. And then there are many more examples like this. So, right. Hi, Krishna. Okay,
So Krishna created the world. So how did he create himself?
how did Krishna create? Krishna didn't create himself. Krishna has always been there.
So how did he get created?
He didn't get created.
Then how is he here?
Krishna, in the beginning, Krishna was the only thing there. Well, we were also there, but we were not conscious. But Krishna was there. Right. I will tell you, if you, I know it's very hard because it's a different world, but imagine you are in a room. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a left hand side wall and you have right hand side wall, and a rope is coming from the wall from the left and going to the hole in the right hand side, right? I think Adi is looking at his walls, left hand side wall, right hand side wall. So you can see both of them, they have a hole, and the rope is coming from the left hand side hole and going into the right hand side hole. Adi's gone to check the holes, I think. Okay. I'm sure Adi will come back. Yes, Adi is back. Yes. So what happens? Somebody will say, well, where is that rope coming from? And we will say, well, it's coming from the wall. Well, no, it's not coming from the wall. It's coming behind the wall. Okay, what's behind the wall? Well, it's my parents' room, maybe. So we will go and we will say, oh yeah, it's coming from there. But then again, we will see it's not only stopping there, it's going to the other side of the wall. And so what's behind it? Well, it's our neighbors. Oh, let's go to the neighbors. This way you can keep going, and then you will never get the end of it. And then you will say, well, I think it has always been there. It's coming from somewhere, we cannot find the source. Krishna is actually that source, and we cannot find the beginning or the end of
that thread.
So, sorry.
Who put that thread that I cannot find in the room, in my room?
Yes, he is. So the scriptures say that who put that rope?
So who made Krishna?
Who? Krishna made himself.
But I cannot make myself. I
Well,
cannot duplicate myself.
well, that's the difference between us and Krishna. Many birds and many animals, they behave very differently. You know, a spider makes the web, and somebody will say, from where? Like, even if the
Out of
spider
his
will
body.
out
It's a
of,
different thing, right? It's a different thing, not like himself.
yeah, no, sorry, what I was about to say, what the spider does from him, let's say him, from himself, a spider makes the web, and then at the end, a spider will eat the same web, and nobody will know the web was there, right?
Why do spiders eat their web?
Well, if in case he needs to, because the whole idea of making the web is so the spider can stay there. By spider is a lot of small insects, they come and they stick to the web, and then he eats. Once he's done, his lunch is over, he will just eat the whole web, and then he will sleep. Next time he will wake up, when he needs to eat again, he will make his web again. But for Krishna, it says in the scriptures, they explain that we cannot find the beginning and the end of Krishna. So which means we don't really have that knowledge that who made Krishna, but what we understand that Krishna is the one who has always been there. Krishna is the source of everything, but there is no source of Krishna.
When you said the last class that when wait, I think I forgot.
Okay, no worries. If it will come back to you, please ask. Meanwhile, let's check. I think the time is running, but let's check. Shivani wants to say something. Yeah.
Where does the spider sleep?
Shivani is asking, where does the spider sleep? Maybe he goes. Anyone knows?
Maybe on the floor.
Maybe on the floor, maybe on the tree, maybe in the hole in the wall, maybe behind the ceiling, maybe in the painting. I don't know anything about spider. A spider is very nice. Well, what I do know about a spider is, as I said, the web. A spider makes. There are many more analogies of spider. So one of the analogies Srila Prabhupada gives in
Got my
Bhagavad-Gītā.
question back.
Sure. Yes,
You know,
please.
like you said, how we know Krishna was there by over the time. You know,
Yes.
the first person known, yeah, the first person created, yeah.
Yeah.
Can he just tell us and get passed over the generations?
Did you say the first person created? Can that person kill us?
So that person just tell over the times of over the generations.
Mm-hmm.
Can that person just tell? Like last time you said that we know of Krishna over the generations, we'll know how he was created over the generations, right?
All right. Okay. Got it. Very nice. Very nice, Adi. If I understood you correctly, then I think what you're saying, yes, generations after generations, the what we call Guru Shishya Parampara, the disciple succession, which the teacher tells about Krishna to the student becomes the teacher, and he tells to his students becomes the teacher, they tell their children or their students, and this is the way the Vedic knowledge, the knowledge of Vedas, Upanishad, Puran, they used to go through. And yes, but
Created can tell us, right?
no, even the first person in that chain himself is Krishna. Krishna tells that knowledge.
What about the second person created?
That person only knows Krishna, but that person will not know that because Krishna is the source of everything.
Hare
So
Krishna.
there is no source of Krishna. And Krishna Chaitanya would like to say, Krishna Chaitanya, please.
So as
Adi is good at asking questions.
Oh yes, I love
Yeah,
his
very good, very good.
Very good. Very good. So good to have this discussion. Thank you so much, Adi. And but yes, this is where the limitation of human mind is, or at least mine. But what the scripture says that Krishna is the source of everything, and there is no source of Krishna.
Okay.
Okay. But if I will find out, then I will let you know. And I will ask my teacher. Okay. If they know, then I will let you know.
Okay.
Okay. And maybe we will do the discussion together and we will find out. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. All right. It's that time of the day where we end, and look forward to see you next Sunday. Until then, keep reading, and we will go further and we will start from the next, which is Karma Yoga. Okay. So far we have done Karma Kanda. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Ishan, take good care of yourself.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Bye.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.